my service dog, JJ. I've been asked to speak to you today about persevering through adversity. Many of you may wonder why I have a service dog. My story starts out of desperation, but ends with a message of hope, encouragement, and perseverance. In order to better understand my story, I'll tell you a bit about my medical history. I was diagnosed with a rare condition called mastocytosis shortly after birth. I have reactions to things such as heat, stress, medication, illness, and activity. Books can definitely be deceiving. While I don't necessarily look like a sick kid, it's a good reminder that you never quite know the struggles people face on the inside. So I'm sure you're wondering how this little fluffy service dog fits into this picture. Let me start at the beginning. When I was 4, my mom took me for a routine doctor's appointment. They talked about school, and my allergist just didn't think it was safe. My parents were devastated. This is just one more restriction on their quest to give me a normal life. That night, they were discussing the doctor's recommendations when our big golden doodle Nixon put his head on my dad's lap. My dad said, "I wish you could go to school and watch over her." My mom said, "That's it." My dad laughed and thought she was a little crazy. You see, our dog Nixon was named after the former president because he couldn't be trusted. Obviously, he wasn't service dog criteria with all the trouble we'd get into. But this started the idea. Could a service dog help keep me safe? You see, since the day I was born, my parents prayed for a miracle. Little did they know that their answer to prayer was coming in the form of a fluffy mutt. After searching the internet, we found an organization, Eyes, Ears, Nose, and Paws, who was willing to take on a rare disease. 7 years ago, I was partnered with JJ and our journey began. An interesting fact was that JJ was named after the organization's first puppy parents long before I came along. Some call it a coincidence that our names are Nikki and JJ. I call it fate. Now, not everyone on my medical team was on board with my little miracle. One thing is for sure, this dog changed my life. She learns before we see any signs of reactions. This means that I'm able to do things I couldn't do before JJ. I could go outside, dance, and I could go to school with my little guardian angel. Those things seem like normal activities to other 5-year-olds, but to me, being able to do these things were definitely miracles. JJ has always been by my side during every hospitalization. My nurses were great. Some of my doctors were not so sure. I think they just had a hard time thinking that a dog had superpowers they didn't have. Until one day, JJ made them a believer. I was admitted for an infection. I was sleeping and my mom went to get some caffeine so she could work. She put JJ in her pop-up crate, not because JJ would have left the room, but because she didn't want to startle anyone who might slip in and take my vitals. Seeing a dog sleeping on a hospital bed was not normal in the kids' unit. As my mom walked past the nurse's station, she looked up and saw JJ running down the hall towards her. JJ immediately alerted her and turned to run back to me in the room. I was still asleep when JJ jumped on my bed and started to lick me to wake me up. Seconds later, my mom and nurse with rescue meds in hand caught up to JJ, who had already awakened me. My mom and my nurse looked at each other confused because all the monitors were normal, but I could feel my throat swelling. The nurse gave me the rescue meds and called for help. As they waited for the meds to start to work, they watched the monitors start to alarm as my oxygen dropped and my heart rate soared. You see, JJ smelled that I was having a reaction before there were any signs on the monitors. She knew she needed to alert, so she unzipped her crate, could smell my mom, and ran to her to alert her of the impending anaphylaxis. Now those doctors who were a little reluctant to believe in JJ's special abilities had to rethink their stance. JJ made them all a believer. Now that JJ proved herself and her abilities, we had everyone on my medical team utilizing her special powers. Several months later, I needed a procedure that required anesthesia. Anesthesia is high risk for patients with mastocytosis like me. My team realized that the best device to keep me safe wasn't the fancy machines in the OR, but JJ and her incredible nose. She did such a good job, JJ was back in the operating room a year later when I had another procedure. She's now an important part of my surgical team. JJ's work in the operating room made international news and resulted in her being named Service Dog Hero of the Year in 2014 by the American Humane Association. But I didn't need any fancy award to know she was my hero. You might be wondering what my story has to do with persevering through adversity. Besides being sick a lot, my disease causes severe fatigue, which prevents me from going to school all day. My immune system doesn't work correctly, so even the smallest infection turns out to be a big deal. Last year, I even had to come to school several times with IVs. This rare disease affects me every day of my life. You might not know that by just looking at me, but it's important to remember that not all disabilities are visible. But what I learned about overcoming adversity didn't come from me, but from JJ. What I didn't mention was that JJ's life didn't start out snuggling a warm bed with me each night in unlimited belly rubs. When JJ was just a few weeks old, she was dropped off with a night box at Orange County Shelter. The workers found her cold and scared in a metal box. She was bathed and given a number, A127927 and put up for adoption. One of the workers saw something special in this little tiny puppy and called eyes, ears, nose, and mouth for an evaluation. Could this 5-pound puppy referred to only by a set of numbers really be a life-changing service dog? So how does JJ's story relate to you in overcoming adversity? There's a few things. Let me start with the first. Believe in yourself. Even though JJ wasn't your typical service dog, we believed in her and she believed she could be an amazing service dog. JJ was once dropped off in a night box and thrown away, but her trainer saw something special in her. What if JJ's trainer didn't think that she could do this? We would have missed out on an incredible opportunity. Is it possible that sometimes we don't have the courage to believe in our own special abilities? I wonder if we miss an opportunity to support others in doing great things. In our house, we believe in JJ's abilities. We don't have any monitor to check to see if she's right, so we just have to believe her. I assure you she's the boss at our house. When she barks, we listen. At times, you might not feel like you're good enough to get that good grade on the test, do a good deed for a friend, or score a soccer goal. This slide shows a time when I had to believe in myself. I had the honor of speaking to over 3,000 graduates during a commencement address for nurses at Chamberlain University in Chicago. I shared with them how their compassionate work as nurses helps people like me. I'm not sure if you can see JJ next to me, but much like today, she's not fazed by the audience. Identify your skills. We all have strengths. Use them. Turns out this little puppy had an incredible sense of smell and a willingness to please. That is a great combination for a service dog. Some of her early days were spent being trained to be a diabetic alert dog, but JJ had even bigger plans. Some of our strengths are more obvious. We always see that student who always gets good grades on a test without even having to study. Perhaps your skills are learning how to study well to get good grades. JJ has an unbelievable nose and can smell things we can't even imagine. JJ uses her ability to smell to do great things. You might realize your strength in a non-conventional way. I bet JJ realizes just how good her sense of smell is after everyone comes back from gym class. Let's not ask JJ you don't have to be good at everything. Let's not ask JJ to be perfect when there's food on the floor and she's not supposed to touch it. She's definitely not a perfect service dog about leaving food on the floor. Next, surround yourself with those who support you. Get a great group of friends and find a mentor. While JJ didn't seek out her mentor, she certainly had one in her trainer, Miss Deb. Miss Deb taught her, guided her, and loved her. She showed her how to be the miracle she is today. Your mentor might not be who you expect. Perhaps it's a teacher, a coach, a parent, or just a really neat person. No matter who it is, be intentional and find one. They can be a game changer for you. As for your friends, choose them wisely, as they can support you or bring you down. So you're probably wondering how I learned this from JJ. Service dogs are trained in groups so that they learn from each other. They are trained with other service dogs, not disobedient puppies. They learn appropriate behavior and they learn to support each other. They learn to be a miracle to their future handler. Lastly, and likely most importantly, be that person for others. I wonder if JJ felt helpless in that metal box with no one to pet her, love her, or even give her a name. She was left in the night box, deemed unworthy by whoever left her there. But this puppy, who was once referred to only by a set of numbers, A127927, had the courage to believe in her special abilities. I think that deep down, JJ knew she was destined for more than the cold night box. She believed in herself and her special nose. She worked hard to learn her job. JJ is ultra successful because she's more worried about alerting and keeping me safe than chasing squirrels, although she still likes to do that. Focusing on supporting others will make you realize that we are all struggling with our own battles. I bet the first day you met me, you wouldn't know I was a sick kid. Perhaps the person sitting next to you is struggling with issues at home. Maybe the person sitting behind you in math class has a learning disability and has to study twice as hard as you. When you choose to be that person for others, you concentrate less on your own struggles and more on helping your peers. Together, we are stronger. Next time you feel unsure of yourself, think that you can't do it, or simply just feel that life is too tough, I challenge you to think about JJ and how far she has come. Think about how she started life in a cold night box and worked hard to be my lifeline. Believe in yourself, even when things get hairy. Surround yourself with great people. Be that person for others. Do these things and you can not only overcome everything, but you can do anything. Thank you.